All right, hello and welcome to today's Saturday Storytelling. I'm Michael Gracia. I am going to be talking about a few things today. First off, before I begin, I want to thank everybody who's been liking and appreciating the image of DAX Photon that I posted. Was it yesterday? On my social media platforms. He's getting a lot of great feedback and response, so I'm very happy for that. I also want to, and I'm sorry, I'm just setting up while we I forgot something in Photoshop to do, and so. Yeah, thank you for everybody who's enjoying and liking the DAX Photon illustration. I think I'm actually very flattered by it. It means that I did a good design on the character, and he is scheduled for late 2021. I'm hoping, if I can, I'm hoping to get it by the summer, but like beginning of the summer, but it might be more fall time. Hi, Alfred. Thank you for saying that you're impressed. So before we get started with actually what today's plan is, what I wanted to tell you a little bit about DAX. We're going to talk about, I'm going to be drawing some characters or designing characters and talking about character design today. But there's a few announcements I want to make first. The first one is starting next week, I'm going to be adding a new feature to my Saturday Storytelling Saturday, sorry. I'm going to be spotlighting at least one webcomic a week that I think is great and everyone should be checking out. I'm also going to be doing comic reviews. So it's going to be about maybe 10, 15 minutes of the show. And I have posted in a few Facebook groups, on other social media sites, and the response has been great. I have my email and my messages on the social media sites are filled with PDFs and links to places, and I can't wait to start reading a few. I already read a couple. There's a few that excite me just from design of characters already. Some are just sound like really interesting stories. I mean, when I review these, I want you to know my goal is not to be negative on anything. I plan to give honest reviews. These are not my stories, so I don't knock other creators. I will say there was one I already read that as a comic, and I'll review this next week. As a comic, I wouldn't pick it up, but I would love to watch it in a movie format. I think for me, it's more the movies I'd watch as opposed to the comic I would read. And the story's being set up to be amazing. So that is something I'm going to give a feedback to, and I'll talk about that comic next week. And then there's been some web comics that I'm going to spotlight. Some maybe friends of mine who are doing amazing work. Others are people who threw tons and tons of stuff at me. And I mean, seriously, I hope I have time to read everything. It's going to be so much. Hey, Mike, 25. So that's the first part of it. So if you guys are watching and have a web comic you'd like me to spotlight on here, or you have a comic you want to send me a PDF of, I'm very happy to review it on here starting next week. I'm going to probably pick 2 or 3 comics, whether they're web comics or comic books, to highlight and tell you where you can get them. So I'm very excited about that. I also have a couple of streams coming up I don't know about next week, but in the next few weeks that I'll be having guests on that I think will add to the Storytelling Saturday show, and give you a few things. Now, in addition to that, I also have a virtual, I'm going to be starting and this will be private through Zoom. I'll be starting a virtual cartooning class, and they'll have different days, different times for different age groups and different types of lessons. But that'll be probably around mid-March, I think, is the official date I'm going to give it. And there'll be some virtual classes going on. So if you guys are interested, you can always sign up for that, and I'm keeping the price very reasonable. So let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and when I share my screen, you're going to see DAX up there, and you're going to see a section of the script. All right. So let's add this in right here. So what we're seeing is, obviously, here's a picture of DAX, the one that everybody's been giving me great feedback on and loving, and thank you so much for that. And then here's part of the script. This is, I actually believe, from page 1. This is Dax's intro. So it's going to be the largest panel on the page, and it says, reveal Dax leaping over a pile of boulders, avoiding blaster fire, a couple of alien pirates in the background, maybe. And then the caption is Dax Photon, Commander, and currently in trouble. And then Dax says, fine, then beam me up out of here. So this is the beginning of the story actually just starts out with action. I tend to like to do that if I can. Like I said, a friend of mine is writing the story, and this is his stuff. When I work with a writer, I tell them this. I plot out the story, because all the stories, when I'm working on something like my stuff, all the stories are mine. I've created everything. I created all the characters. I've created the major plots that need to be in there, and I've created the ending. And then what I tell my writer is, you're the writer. That's your skill. You write this however you feel the story should be told, but make sure all my stuff that I want in there is in there. So when I sat down with my writer, and he looked at some of the designs I had for Dax, he listened to my plots and the storyline, he really got it. He really understood who Dax was. And he just, I don't know if it was his love of science fiction as well, and old science fiction comics like I like, that really helped him out here. But he really just got it. There were very few notes. So every so often he'd send me some pages, and usually about 10, 15 pages at a time. The first was 7 pages. I remember that because it was like, it was a very nice opening. And there's very few notes. He really understood what I wanted to do, and I was liking the process. A few of the things I told him were maybe name changes. Make sure to add this stuff in, or I think if we don't reach this part of the plot by this page, we're going to extend past the page count I already wanted for it. So there were just little things. Very little rewrites he had to do. I'm still waiting on the ending. I was hoping to receive it this week. I don't know. I haven't heard from him in a little over a week. I know he's busy with his stuff. So I'm sure I'll get in the next week or so. Anyway. So when I wanted to create space pirates, because even though we may not put them in the first panel, they will be in this opening sequence. And I think the way I'm envisioning it in my head, I can see part of the space pirates in there. I like to have an idea where the lasers are coming from. So what I thought about, and the reason I like Dax in here, is because I do work in a variety of styles, and I want to remember the style I'm working in sometimes. So for me, like, now Dax has humor to it. So some of it is mostly in the visuals, but there is in the script obviously some humor written. So I want to make my characters a little silly, have kind of fun, but still make them look like, they're intimidating or whatever, however they should be, in the sense of, do they look threatening to DAX? That's the important thing. And I think about a lot of different things when I go into character design. Now, we have something in character design called shape language. And, we look at things like circles and, squares and even triangles, right? Or you can draw the triangle upside down as well. Now, these shapes all kind of mean something. So when we use curves and circles, that's more of a cuteness to a character. When we use kind of boxy shapes, that could be more of like a tough guy. And triangles show kind of evil. Hold on, I got a comment from Alfred. Will you eventually animate it if successful as a comic? Now, I will say this. A lot of the stuff I do, because I do have a background in animation, and I've designed animation mostly for like video games back in the 90s. I always have an animation feel to my work. Hanna-Barbera is a major influence. You might be able to see that in DAX a bit. And I tend to finally think in animation. I don't know if I plan to animate it per se as a full motion animation, but I have done motion comics. I am working on a motion comic for a client. So I'm not opposed to taking some of the comics that I make and animating them as motion comics. I already have the commercial in my head for when DAX is getting ready to premiere. And I already have, and some of it will be motion based. It's the important thing when I do that is work on layers, so I have total control over everything. Now, whether that's in Clip Studio or Photoshop, I don't know. But let's talk about getting back to the characters. So when I design my characters, all right, I like to design based on other things, in the sense where, if we look at Hanna-Barbera, right? Hanna-Barbera did tons and tons of parodies. The Flintstones were the honeymooners. I mean, we all know that. If we go to, anything that was popular in that era, one of their characters is based off another TV show or an actor of the time or whatever it is, So I do think like that a lot, because I'm highly influenced by that. So one of my favorite all-time comedy duos is Abbott and Costello. Now, I'm not really a Three Stooges fan. I can appreciate them for what they are, but I'm not as much into the slapstick as I am in as I'm into the just wordplay. And that's kind of where I like to go for my humor. And Abbott and Costello, to me, were masters of that. There's, one of my favorite bits is 7 times 13 equals 21. I don't know if you guys ever seen that one, but there's this great scene, and they've done it a few times, and I forgot which movie it was in. But, I remember, and this always cracks me up, Bud turns to Costello, and when he says, when Costello says 17 times 13 equals 21, Abbott says to him, did you go to school, stupid? Like insulting him, and Costello says back, yeah, and I came out the same way. And I laugh at that. So I like to think I'm kind of thinking of Abbott and Costello, something of a tall pirate with a short pirate. Now, Costello obviously had roundness. He would have been the cute one. Bud might be a little more boxy. So I'm kind of thinking in that range. So what I like to do is I kind of want to get and I'm going to curve it right now, but here's kind of this boxy type of character. And then the other one's going to be down like this, so that I know kind of the shape that I'm working with. All right. Now, this will help me with size. This will help me with body parts. Like I can cut and say here and here, this guy could have very tiny legs. you know, and his arms could be very long, almost gorilla-like or something. You know, I'm not saying this is what I'm going with. I'm just saying this is kind of what I like to do, is break down the sizing in here. And, you know, they're aliens, so what can an alien be? So let me... I mean, I could make them very human if I want to, but I like, you know, they're in outer space. So I'm kind of thinking, at least for the little guy, he's a pirate. I kind of want this as his face, kind of this cyclopsy looking character. And his mouth. So like his whole body could be this here, you know, and he can have his little legs coming off of here. Let's make his... I'm just going to delete that because I know in my head already what I want. So give him big... I don't know if that's too big a feat for him. Let's leave it like this for now. And let's get one hand out here and the other arm over here. You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to move him over so we can see him. So this is going to be my Costello-like character. There is roundness to him, so I'm going to give him only 3 fingers. So there might be a little bit of cuteness to him. And he'll probably have some kind of weapon in this hand here. Now, he does purple in color. Maybe. I could see that on him. Thanks for the tip, Alfred. I'm actually pretty bad with color. I run a lot by my wife because I'm what's known as shade blind. I see colors, but when they start blending, I have trouble telling them apart. So... thank you for the tip. Alrighty. I might want to lower down here. I'm going to lower his lip here. Let's lower his lip. He is an alien, right? After all, let's bring his mouth like down here. And maybe you can have a couple of teeth sticking out here, right? So I'm thinking this is actually a pretty decent alien. And before I even design his costume or how he's dressed, I need to know that I could draw him in any position. And that's why I'm saying I started out with kind of that pear shape, but I flattened the top. So now here, he could be over here and he could be kind of jumping, right? And maybe he'll have his arm out here like he's blasting something. And his, you know, and since his mouth is down here, let's just open his mouth like that, you know. So it does work. You know, I could have him, if I put it down like so. Like he drops something. Or he's bowing to his master or something. So this does work in design. So I could totally draw him in any way. So like even if I stretch it out this way. And all I did maybe his eye is closed. He got hit really hard. Maybe some spittle coming out. So it does work for me. And And all I did was to give him, I kind of combined some shapes together, as you guys can see. Well, I'm just going to move some of this around onto another layer so I can still play with. Whoops. Hold on. Let's just come around here. Okay, I'm just going to turn that off for now. Where is my eraser? Thanks, Alfred. I'm glad you enjoy the design. So what I did was, even though he has roundness to him, I did box him a little bit by the top of the head. So I combined two of the shapes. Basically, I took that circle and then added a rectangle to it. That's all I did. So adding the boxiness adds kind of that tough feature to the top, and then being down here adds a little softness to him. Like, one of the things, and I know this character personally is going to be in a few scenes, if I remember correctly. Whoops. And, I don't want you to... The idea is that he's supposed to be evil, and I don't want you feeling bad for him, but I want the ability to kind of make my audience feel something for him if I need to. So I wanted some cuteness to him, and softness down there. All right. Let's fix that. That's bothering me there. And now what I'll tend to do is, because I have the basic design, is I will go over it in another color. Let's get like a red. So let's do 50 here. I don't want it to be a bright red, but 50 here. And what I'm doing now is I'm going to design some parts of the costume that I think could work for him. And you can see I'm going over it in a different color. And since he's an alien, I thought having some kind of helmet would be interesting for him. Let's do a little bit more erasing right here. Let's add, Now, I don't know if this is going to be good or not. This is what I'm playing with now, and this is why I do it in other colors. And what I'm doing here is I think it might be interesting for him to have a robotic arm. So I'm creating one. Alfred, so you want to give it some emotional sense about it. Yeah, I want people, when they look at this, to connect with the character. Even though he's a bad guy, you want him, the idea is, let's create a aesthetic look that people are going to enjoy. What could be pleasant to the eye. Maybe I give him like some kind of jumpsuit, so it's underneath here. Maybe this arm, he can have, I don't know, some kind of like wrist communicator or something on there, and maybe he's holding like some kind of phaser or something. Does he need boots? I don't know. Let's see. How would they look if you give him some boots, and maybe it's one big costume here? And maybe I'll add Now, I want to remember that he's a pirate. So I want to think about things. I'm not saying he needs to have an eye. Well, he shouldn't have an eye patch. He can't see without one. I don't like that anymore there. But you know, what would they look like here? So you know what? Maybe I actually do like this one coming down like that there into part of the costume, and maybe I'll give him a symbol. You know, they always have pirates, you know, have the skull and crossbones. Maybe he just has like a skull on him, you know? And or you know what, because he the type of alien he is, maybe it's just one giant eye hole. And we'll change here. Let's erase right here. And there we go. So it looks like his people, maybe. All right. Maybe I'll continue that line down. And maybe I'll add some design to the shoes here. It could be something as simple as this for being the space pirate. So he's got one robotic arm. You know, and then what I'm going to do is I'll turn this layer off, and now I got another layer, and I can think about what do I want to do now with this here. So with another costume, you know, what if I gave him gloves that kind of came up like this? He's got his gloves right here. I like having those little pieces to it. What if down around his ankles he had the same thing, right? And I'm going to go back to that skull, but now I'm just going to use it as like a belt buckle. And let's say that'll be like that. Okay, let's do some erasing there. Now, it's important when you're designing your character to think about how he'll be interacting with the world around him. You know, I think I want some of those in them. You know, you want to remember, you know, this isn't your traditional pirate that's exploring or sailing on the ocean here. This is a whole different area. He's in outer space. So he's not going to probably have those peg legs and bandanas and things in outer space. You want to make it feel. So what would he be wearing? He'd probably be wearing something more like a spacesuit. You know, so what kind of spacesuit should he have on? You know, it doesn't mean we can't do like a sword in space. And I had this idea because I love Star Wars. I love lightsabers. I love Thundar the Barbarian. So I thought about what about having a saber, you know, that kind of, and this has been done before. So this isn't anything I invented. I know that for a fact. This has been around for decades in this design. You know, but what if I had some kind of, you know, saber, and it's like an electric flaming saber or something, you know, so it comes out like that. So you could have that kind of weapon. You know, do I want to do something that, you know, maybe he's got like some kind of skull cap on? You know, I could give him ears if I wanted to. right? I don't know if that would look good. I'd have to wonder about the design, but I could add an earring like a pirate would have, right? And maybe he has the other ear on the other side we can't see right now. Maybe his ship could look like a pirate ship. It could. I mean, it's all that comes up to the creator. I got to be honest, I don't remember if we actually see their ship, so I don't know if I have to draw a ship for them. I've designed all the ships but like 2 already. So, sorry, I thought I saw something I needed to respond to. And, so I don't feel the need to right now design the ship, but if I was to, maybe it could look like a pirate ship. Maybe I could add some pouches or something on the side here, on each side. I don't know. I mean, there are things I would need to figure out, but I think I got the design of this guy. I think I got him down very well. I could even add kind of like knee pads if I wanted to, or think about the elements of a pirate. I said my guy wouldn't be using a peg leg, but maybe one of the others would be. And maybe I don't know, I'll add a design over here like so. I don't know if I like that, but it's something kind of creates that look of a bandana with the skull cap feel there. Maybe he'll have another, in addition to the pupil, maybe he'll have some kind of colored eye. I don't know. I don't know if I'd make it red like that, but and I like the idea of the purple alien skin tone, but I could see him in blue. I could see him in green. I could see him. I actually can see him in orange. So there's lots of colors. Basically, that's going to be a whole other piece I do. What am I going to do with that? I don't know. So, but I think I got this guy kind of down. Let's move on to the next guy. What's this here? I just want to make sure. Okay. So the next guy I was going to draw, and I'm going to change the color back to that gray, which I like to use. Whoops. I like to draw in gray sometimes because it gives me the feel of that actual pencil. Excuse me. Now I created the short guy. Let's work on that tall guy. So I'm gonna kind of get a design over here. Like I said, I want him to kind of be a little more boxy. So I'm going to create, and I'm using curves, and I tend to draw in curves because bodies are round, and we need roundness to, so I tend to start with curves instead of just starting with straight rectangles. And I want him to be a little tougher. So let's put his head down like this. I'm going to go a little boxy on him right now. This will be his arms. Up there, too high. I don't like that. But I'm thinking of giving this guy kind of like a peg leg feel. So let's give him one leg first. Like this. And on this side, he's in space, so maybe he can have like something that comes out like this, that hovers, and it creates an electric current or something on the ground a little bit. And this will be, obviously, some kind of tech. I could even give him some kind of high boots over there. Now, one of the things we do in character design is to make it easier on us is to try to balance out each side so they kind of look the same. Whoops. that's not necessarily needed. You know, nobody is 100% perfect when you go down the line on them. You know, if you divide them in half, nobody's perfectly even. But we tend to want to keep it as balanced as possible. Uh, you know, it's something for when you're working in animation or cartooning or something that like comics, because we got to draw these characters over and over and over again, and they got to look the same. So we want to make it easy. There was a character that I grew up on, and I grew up on a cartoon that I loved called Dungeons and Dragons. And this was the first time I remember seeing a character that wasn't balanced. When I and what I mean by that is it's the first character when I started studying character design that I thought back to and remembered, wow, he wasn't a balanced character, and that was the villain Venger. He had this one giant horn on one side, and the other side didn't have it. I'm like, wow, that was an interesting take, because usually you'd see horns on both sides, you know, to keep it balanced. But you know, that wasn't the case here, and I still like to try to keep everything balanced when I can, even when I can. If I can't, I don't worry about it. I'm going to make this one kind of a little more human-like, I think. All right. And this one's going to have a jaw. Ooh, I don't know if I like this. I think he might be too big. But he's going to have a jaw that comes out like this. And I'm going to make him kind of a cyborg. And his mouth will be out here. Again, not 100% sure I like this. I think his head's too big, or his face is too big for what I'm currently doing with his body. I do want the eyes to be that big, though. Okay. Maybe put his nose like that. And maybe he's got some kind of beard on him. And one of the things I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make it easy on me for when I draw that. I don't have a lot of stuff to remember when I'm coloring. Like, and I'm kind of giving him a jacket, kind of like thinking old school, not old school, but like an old leather jacket that might be, you know, that you would see in sci-fi movies, or a little more kind of modern design in the way they dress. So it's not all Star Trek. And I know I'm doing this all in gray. It's kind of just the way everything's flowing at the moment. So let's do... And because they're pirates, they don't need to be from the same race. They just need to be, you know, around, you know, like just bad looking guys. I'm going to give him that. I'm going to give him 3 fingers as well. This one here, I'll do a, you know what? I'm going to undo that. I'm going to give this side the hand. The other side, let's... I'm going to give this side the hand. This side I'm going to erase the hand on. And make this his weapon. So maybe he's got this little, I don't know, it's a little like barrel, like the barrel of a gun. He can shoot lasers at it. Maybe he can create some kind of like energy hook like he has for his leg. Maybe this one is an energy hook, laser cannon. Maybe this is where he develops his sword out of, you know, so everything, his weapon is his is his hand. It's built into him, so he's going to be the cyborg. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add some trim around the jacket because I added this here, so I'll have a different color. Maybe a giant pocket on each side. You know, I could end up with a design, but that would probably be done through color. And whoops, I'll do that. And let's give him something like that. Let's give him the pointy ears too. I do like that. I did like the pointy ears on the other guy. And he will need something. He might be more of the space captain-y type. I want that leg in here. I want this just to be kind of pant-like. Do I want that line right there? And I do want to give him something like a hat. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a whole line, maybe 2 lines right there for some detail in the shirt. And let's just thinking, nope. That was kind of like Back to the Future. That was like Biff's future hat I was thinking. I always kind of liked that hat. I always thought it looked almost like a metallic tooth he was wearing on his head. Let me see something here. Was this the design? So let me just take this and this. Let me just move this all over here. Kind of liking this for this guy. I think together these two could be a very interesting pair like this. And the reason I'm not going, the reason I don't want to use this one is because I'm making the other guy, the cyborg, the taller guy. So I don't want 2 cyborgs. Excuse me. You know, I do think I need some other passes at these guys here in design, but I think I'm getting something that I'm happy with here. You know, I do feel he needs some kind of hat though. And maybe, you know what I'll do? Maybe I'll give him like some kind of headband. And then maybe, I don't know if I want to give him hair yet, but I could always kind of. I'm not sure about the top. I kind of like it with no hat there. I mean, no hair, but I don't know if I want to make that skin or part of his hat. So let's give this a shot here. All right. Let me do this. Okay. Duplicate layers. Let's turn these off. And let's scale everything down here. And what I like to do now that I have them kind of scaled is see if they work well together. I mean, I think they do. I'm not 100% happy with what's this here? Nope. I'm not 100% happy yet with this guy. I still think his face, but I like his body. I like I like the overall design. So if I was to kind of come around here, and let's draw him like this, and here's one leg, and here's the other. All right. And if that leg is, so this leg would be, or this arm, let's put it right around here. So this arm would be forward. And I'm going to have him holding something in this hand. And this arm would be kind of coming back, so we kind of see it over here, and there would be his little piece right there. All right, let's see how this works. And there's that scattering there, and he's got his coat. And I'm probably going to do the coat more like that now that I'm thinking about it. Just basing on what he's got here right now. Let's give him his pointy ears. So he's holding some, so that would be his thumb, and he's got some kind of device or something in his hand there. All right, so that works pretty good. And while we got maybe him, the other guy will be kind of like behind here a bit. He's firing his gun that way. And so we only see part of him. And he'll be running too, so he'll be behind, and I'm gonna have to move him over a bit. Let's erase all that right there. Let's put him a little bit. I want to see a bit more of him. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put him like this first, and this is kind of, I do this quite a bit too. So I want him actually running in this direction, and the other leg will be back here. We'll probably see that. But his body is going to be twisted. So this is one arm. And let's say he's got the phaser that I drew in the other one. He's looking back. All right, there he is. There's his kind of his belt, and there's the pouch. There's the. All right, so there he is. And whoops, I forgot. So now if I move him into the area that I want, I'm going to scale him down a bit. So now he could be a little further away, and they're running in the on the same path. Maybe I'll do a little overlapping. And so right here, we'd actually see his foot. That would be the glove. And let's just put a little path so it looks like they're on the same path there. He's got it. I think they work together. I might want to, I got to play with the size and who's going to be taller. I mean, well, I know who's going to be taller, but what's the difference in height of these guys here? And if they're only, I mean, I know they're going to be in like 3, maybe, I think they're in 3 scenes total between, and when I mean scenes, I don't mean panels. I mean parts of the story. Like they're going to be in the beginning of the story. They're who DAX are up against in the beginning. They're going to come back a little later. I know that. So these are not just characters I can kind of doodle out and say, okay, well, this is what it's going to look like because they're only in for one panel. No, they're going to be recurring. They're going to be recurring through, like I said, 2 or 3 scenes. So I need them to look in a way where I'm happy with them, and not something I could be like, oh, I'm just going to do like a one-off with real quick. So I'm thinking these are going to be the characters. I want to really work on this guy here, the one where the arrow's pointing to. I really want to work on his face. That's really bugging me out right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and I know his head is based on that squarish shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around. I want to give him that kind of headband. That's too big, obviously. I think I want to kind of go metallic with this here. So I know this will be some kind of helmet, almost like another skull cap. And I might even come up with a design for it. And what I mean by design is like, you know, like a symbol of the pirates. Like how the other guy's wearing like a skull of his people. And I'm going to put his eyes, so let's... So now I know what I got right there. All right. I think now that I'm looking at him, I kind of want to age out his eyes a bit. So I'm going to give him some kind of little heavy eyelids there and maybe some wrinkles around the eye. I don't know if I like that little kind of cutesy nose for him. I think, what if I bring it down out like that? Or is that too human-like? I don't know. I don't like that either. I think, you know, that might work. And I could put a couple of lines in here. Like he's got a bumpy kind of rough nose, almost Klingon-like, you know? And let's get his ears in here before I forget that. Oh, too big. So this needs to be a little bigger. And you know, maybe I'll do it just like that. He's got 2 little snaggletooths teeth. And do I want that beard? Does that look good? I don't know if I like the beard. Okay, let's come to here. I'm going to just erase the connection in here. I'm going to erase right here too. I'm going to push that out just a little bit more. So when the thing is, what I'm thinking is, you know, if we were to look at an actual human head, and here's the skull and here's the jaw, the ear comes, or the jaw comes out right from below where the ear, like right behind the ear. So I'm thinking this is the beginning of his jaw right here. So his jaw should be coming down kind of like this. So if I was to, yeah, that would be a better jaw for him. Now, maybe I'll put a couple of lines, like he's got some hair on the side, like it's a little bit shaved. I don't know. Do I like the beard is my question. If I cleaned it up a bit more and it came down more as just a goatee. like, you know, the villainous Ming the Merciless. No, that's a little more Fu Manchu there. It's I wonder if I like that. You know, he could use some earrings, you know. One there, and let's put one right over here. Needs to be a little longer. Maybe. Does that look better than the beard? I don't know. I feel his face still needs work, but I do like the design of his body that I did. I like the idea of the peg leg that is an electric, like laser type of peg leg. I like that he is kind of cyborgish. Maybe. What if? How about this? Let me do some erasing here, and a little bit of erasing right here, and some of this. Right? What if I continued the cyborg look down his eyes, and it kind of came off of here, and his ear is okay, let's say, and this kind of just kind of comes up, and we'll just keep his eye like one color. So let me there's what I'm looking for. Let's get a little bit of that red right there. Then maybe his eye is, he's got this side being the computer eye. So this one's always going to be kind of, or maybe it changes color depending on what's going on. I don't know. But I want to go back to my gray again. And maybe I'll have this kind of go around, and I don't know. You know, doing the lines like I'm doing right now, that's very old school thinking, and it does have a retro feel to the comic, so maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just kind of keep it. Maybe I'll do just kind of like one line that goes across into the ear, and I could do some bolts maybe attached. Maybe that might be better. I don't know. That could be something. And then this could come into, obviously, some kind of, this can be part of it. So this will come into here. This will come up around. So he's got, I'm going to put a little top part on it. And let's see, what if I came down like so and put some bolts in on each side here. I don't know if this is too much detail to think about. Well, you know, I don't know how much we're going to see him close up. I don't know if I like that top part, but maybe. I don't know. Let's have some fun. Right now, we'll see. Maybe it's some kind of antenna. That's a little too dorky, like a little too goofy for me, you know? I do like having this top piece up here, so maybe I'll just give him like a spike, like one spike up there. And maybe I'll just add some like bolts here. I'm starting to like him now this way. I don't even know if we gave them names. I got to be honest with you. But I think it does look a little kind of better for evil, a little scarier. I mean, the design on his body is great, but I didn't like his head at all. So this might be better. I can even give him some nostrils in like that. So let's give this a try real quick. Whoops. Let me shrink. I'll just take this whole thing right here. Let me see how it looks now when I draw him. Okay, this will be my last sketch for today, for this stream here. So let's take a look at his body here, and let's get him in action. Let's bring this one forward. I love, I don't know if I meant to do this, but I really enjoy how when I create his electronic peg leg, how it kind of skids. There's that little electrical path energy that comes across it. This will be his arm here. And this arm will be going forward right there. Okay. And maybe in this hand, I don't know, maybe he's got that electric saber we talked about earlier. All right. Or maybe an electric cutlass, so maybe it covers up his hand here. This one right here will be firing lasers. Let's get his head in here now. Let's not forget about his goatee right here. Let's not forget about. I don't know, the bolts might be a little too much in some areas, but I'm going to change something like that for the buckle. It's got that. So yeah, I'm thinking maybe something like that. That could work out very well. Let's not forget the trim on his jacket. And here's that electric saber that's coming out, which I don't know if I was to draw it, if I should ink it in. Let me take a look at something. Let's get a color for electricity right now. Let's do a light cyan. Let's say 25% cyan. Okay. So let's say this kind of, and I'm thinking for coloring now how I'd want to do this here. So I got that, and now what if I went to straight white? What's going on? Oh, hold on, cancel. What if I went straight white in here now, but it's... What's going on? Is it drawing? I don't see the... Oh, it's still in cyan. I'm sorry. Okay. So now, just making sure I'm on the right layer. Yes, I am. So now what if I... And maybe have some lightning, not lightning, but electricity escaping. No. I think something like that might work very well. And then if I go back to that cyan color, and let's rough out the edges so it's not always perfect. I don't know if it'll be cyan, but I don't know. I kind of like that. And then let's get, for the cutlass itself. Now it's okay, you know, these types of weapons, I know it's very Star Wars-ish, but heck, it's basically a ripoff of Star Wars, I know. But other companies have done it. I'm not looking to sell electric lightsabers, you know. So if I was to ink this, let's just get a little ink on this here. And I'll just use the same pencil that I'm using right now. Let's just go thinner. And maybe I'll come in a little bit right here, a little past. So kind of just... No, just... So, I don't know, would that work? Or does this cyan need something like the black outline to work? Let's see. So all this stuff goes into character design for me here. Everything I've been talking about, you know, size relations, the shapes that I'm using, the idea of what the character's job is. I don't know if I like it with the black around it. I'm gonna have to play with it once I color the characters and decide on the colors to these characters. I know Alfred in the audience, if you're still watching, for the small guy, you know, the one-eyed guy here, you mentioned kind of purple in color. Not 100% sure, but I'm not opposed to it, so it's a color I will play with. This guy's obviously going to have more, but I want their colors to kind of, you know, balance off each other. I don't want them to have the same exact look. They're two different types of alien species. Not saying they can't have the same colors, but I want to change up everything to make some of the difference. Also have them each kind of stand out on their own. Sorry, I'm just looking at it. So this right here are going to be the designs for the space pirates that are used in the opening sequence, and they show up a little later in the comic as well. Hold on, sorry. Sorry, I had an itch on my ear. I'm happy with the designs. I didn't think I was going to get them right away. All I knew going into this is I wanted one tall, one short, kind of be an Abbott and Costello type. So we got the tall one who, now I will say there's not many jokes written for them, but I do believe the shorter one that I'm designing got the best of them. So I want him to kind of be the punchline guy, as you know, Costello was, and Bud was a straight man. You guys, I'm gonna end here. So what I want to say though before I go is, number one, thank you guys for watching. I'm always happy when you guys watch and participate with the questions and comments, because it does help me when I'm doing these educational things. Helps me think, and I'm happy to answer your questions. I've been, like I said, I taught visual storytelling for 16 years at one school, at one college, and I have I still guest lecture, and I've been doing this over 20 years, both as a professional and as an educator. Storytelling is my passion, whether it's done through comics, animation, puppetry. It doesn't matter to me. As long as I can tell a story, I'm a happy guy. So you know, there's a lot of different aspects, and that's what Storytelling Saturday is about, is for me to share different methods of storytelling. And today was on character design. Next week I'll have another topic. I'm just actually waiting to hear back from a friend of mine to let me know if he can guest next week. If he can guest next week, we're going to have a really cool time. Otherwise, it'll be another week in February. Also, next week, I'm starting my my webcomic spotlight, where I'll spotlight one or two webcomics that I think people should be checking out. And I'll be doing some comic reviews. Like, if you want, you know, message me, and you can send me PDFs. Watermarks are fine. I'm not looking for like free actual copies of the comics. As long as I can read them and share about them and tell people where to get them, that's what's important to me. I'm going to be doing, like, it's going to be probably about a 15-minute section of my Storytelling Saturdays. On Tuesday, remember, I have Renee Fitzner coming on, who is starting a Kickstarter on February 10th, and he'll be talking about it, and he's a wonderful artist. And on February 10th, I'm going to be on Nerds of the Round. We're going to do that live, so you can watch that on YouTube. If you go to the Nerds of the Round, subscribe to them now. And if you don't subscribe already, they're a great group of guys. And I'll be on at 9 p.m. live with them. Also on starting sometime in March, I believe mid-March is when I'm going to officially start it. But I will be offering Zoom cartooning lessons virtually for a little bit. I got a couple of weeks of I don't want to say a couple of weeks, got about a 10-week course planned on making comics. And then there's basic cartooning, and there's a few other things where I'll go into a lot more depth than what I go on to on Storytelling Saturdays. If you guys are interested in signing up, prices are going to be very reasonable. And you can find me on Facebook on gettintoon.net, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter at Michael Gracia, and on Twitch at ToonMaker76. I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you guys for being excited and liking the designs of Dax and the characters that I've been showing. He will be coming in 2021, I promise, and I'm really looking forward to sharing everything I can with you. A lot of what I do with Dax will be on this stream, but in the meantime, it won't be, you know, I'm not going to share everything because I want you guys to read the comics. So thanks for tuning in. Check me out on one of the social medias. Subscribe, share. You know how to do it. And I'll see you guys Tuesday night. Hope you guys check me out on Wednesday night. And I'll be back next Saturday. You guys have a great day, a great weekend. And see you later.